The international break is finally over and we are back to club football. So here are my score predictions for game week 17 of the 2023/24 EFL Championship season. We start off on the Friday night at the New York Stadium where Rotherham United are taking on Leeds United. Rotherham in their last game getting absolutely smashed by Watford in that 5-0 defeat. And Leeds United just narrowly picking up all 3 points in their last game in that 2-1 win over Plymouth Argyle. I fancy Leeds United to pick up all 3 points in this game, and I think they will score quite a few goals. I will back Rotherham United to get one, though. They do tend to always find a way to score, especially when they are at home as well. So I'll back them to get one, but I think it will end in a 3-1 away win for Leeds United in this one. We move on now to the Saturday fixtures where Birmingham City are taking on Sheffield Wednesday. This one is going to be a pretty good one. Both sides not in the greatest of forms. Birmingham City losing 3-1 against Sunderland in their last game. Sheffield Wednesday picking up another defeat. Big defeat as well, a 4-0 defeat against Millwall in their last game. Wayne Rooney's start has not been the greatest. I think we pretty much all expected that, but surely, even if you have Wayne Rooney as your manager, you should be able to beat Sheffield Wednesday, especially when you're at home as well. I'm going to go for a 2-0 home victory for Birmingham City in this one, and it will be the first victory of the Wayne Rooney era as well. We move on now to Ashton Gate, where Bristol City are taking on Middlesbrough. This is a mid-table clash. Bristol City in 11th and Middlesbrough in 10th. Both sides, picking up pretty even results so far. Bristol City 6 wins, 6 defeats. Middlesbrough 7 wins, 6 defeats. So it's a pretty evenly matched up game, this. And, I think it's going to end all square. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in this one. Next up, we move on to the John Smith Stadium, where Huddersfield Town are taking on Southampton. Huddersfield Town losing 1-0 against Hull City in their last game. Southampton picking up a narrow 2-1 victory against West Brom. Huddersfield Town, they're just outside the relegation zone in 21st place. Not looking good for them at the moment, given their current form. And I don't think they'll pick up anything from this game as well. I will back them to get one, but I think Southampton will win this one 3-1. Next up, we move to the King Power Stadium where Leicester City are taking on Watford. Leicester City, they have picked up 2 1-0 defeats in their last 2 games. The most recent against Middlesbrough, one prior to that against Leeds United. They're back at home for this one. And, their opponents, Watford, didn't start the season off at all well, but recently they've put 5 past Middlesbrough and they have turned that form around. Although I think going to Leicester here, it'll be a bit too difficult for them. I'm going to go for a high scoreline here. I think Leicester, they're going to bounce back from their last couple of games. They'll keep a clean sheet. They'll win this quite comfortably 3-0 for me. Next up, we move on to the Den where Millwall are taking on Coventry City. Both sides, not doing the greatest. Millwall in 15th, Coventry in 20th, but especially Coventry after the season they had last season. They've just had a season so far full of draws and defeats. I think Millwall would just edge this one. I'll go for a close scoreline, but I think they'll get through 2-1 for me in this one. Next up, we move on to Carrow Road where Norwich City are taking on Queen's Park Rangers. Both sides not at all in the greatest of form. Norwich, they did pick up a positive result against Cardiff City before the international break, that 3-2 victory over the Bluebirds. I think they'll be able to get back-to-back wins here, especially against the Queen's Park Rangers side that can't seem to do anything at the moment. The most recent game was a 0-0 draw against Bristol City. Prior to that, a 1-1 draw against Rotherham. And that's pretty much the best we've seen from them all season. I do think it'll be a close game. Norwich are struggling at the moment, but I do think they'll just get through. I'll go for another tight scoreline, but 2-1 victory to the Canaries in this one. And then we move on to Home Park, where Plymouth Argyle are taking on Sunderland. This one will be another good one because Sunderland, they've had their ups and downs so far this season. They are currently sat in those playoff spots, currently in 6th place. Plymouth Argyle, they've had an alright season given that they've come up from League One, especially at home as well. They do manage to take part in some high scorers. So I think we're going to see one of those high scoring games here. I think it's going to end in a draw. I'm going to go for a high score of 2-2 in this one. Both sides will have to settle for the points. I think it'll be a good point gained for Plymouth Argyle in the end. We move on to Deepdale, where Preston North End are taking on Cardiff City. This one is going to be a very good one. Both of these sides have improved since last season, and well, both sides they've picked up some pretty good victories so far. It's going to be a very tight one. The favourites for this one are the home side, Preston, and I think I'm going to agree with that. I think there'll be another tight scoreline, but I think we'll come away with a 2-1 victory here. The past recent times that we've played each other, it's been a very close scoreline. If you go back further, there's been times where Cardiff have absolutely smashed us. I don't think that this will end in a draw. I know we've had a couple of 0-0s recently between these two clubs, but there's two sides coming in after the international break that are going to want to get started again. Preston, they'll want to make it 3 wins in a row. Cardiff, they've not won in the last couple of games. They'll want to try and bounce back. We're going to see a tight game, and I definitely think that we will see a winner in this one. And I just hope we will see it to Preston in this one, and that is what I'm going to go for. We move on to the Bet365 Stadium now, where Stoke City are taking on Blackburn Rovers. We don't really know what we're going to get with Stoke City this season, although in the last 2 games they've picked up 2 0-0 draws against Coventry and Cardiff. But Blackburn Rovers, they lost 2-1 in that Lancashire derby against Preston just before the international break, and they'll want to get back to winning ways. Stoke City, as I said, you could see a side that is put out to demolish Blackburn, or could just concede loads of goals themselves. Stoke, of course, the ex-Preston manager Alex Neil. They've got quite a few ex-Preston players as well. Pearson, Johnson, Paul Gallagher, the coach. This will be like a mini derby for them, because Alex Neil, he was really fired up for the Blackburn derby, and I think we're going to see a 2-0 victory to Stoke in this one. He will fire his players up for this one, especially, Alex Neil's record against Blackburn Rovers. It is a pretty good one. So, I think this ends in a Stoke victory for me. We move on to the Swansea.com Stadium now, where Swansea are taking on Hull City. Hull City, they've had a pretty good, decent season so far, 8th place. Swansea, they've been a bit up and down. They are currently in 17th position. But when these two sides have played each other at Swansea, they have got a pretty good record against Hull. I am going to edge this game to Swansea City. I do think that they will come away with a 2-1 home win in this one. Hull City, they've been doing, all right. Just the most recent games, a narrow 1-0 victory against Huddersfield. Then they lost 3-1 against West Bromwich Albion. And Hull City, they are a really good side, especially at home this season. But I do think that they lose this one away from home. And then we finish off at the Hawthorns, where West Bromwich Albion are taking on Ipswich Town. This one is going to be another good one. Two pretty good sides at the moment, taking each other on. Although Ipswich Town at the moment, they are just doing incredible. Just the difference from when they were last in the Championship in the 2018-19 season, to now, it's a big difference. And they've been away in League One for quite a few seasons, and I'm just shocked to. Yes, they scored 100 goals in League One last season, but I am really shocked that this team, has done so well in the Championship. So I do think that we see another close game, both sides to score, but I am going to edge it to the Tractor Boys for a 2-1 away win to wrap up my Game Week 17 score predictions. If you did enjoy, please do leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are not already. I'll see you all in my next video.